What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the LAPA SMG. Also be going over warzoneranks.com, which is an amazingly underrated website. I love their site. I wish I could integrate it into my site, but that would be obviously an insane amount of work because it's just so detailed. But we're going to go over Warzone Ranked and the LAPA, which is the current #1 KD weapon in Warzone. You need to understand that just because it's the #1 KD weapon in Warzone doesn't mean it's the best. It just means that it's sort of like a correlation doesn't mean causation thing. Like, just because it has the best KD in Warzone, maybe better players are using it than other weapons, things like that. There's all kinds of stuff to factor into it. So just because it has the highest KD doesn't mean it's the best, but it's still fantastic. We're gonna go over it. It's completely slept on. It has like a 0.08% pick rate, which is hilarious for how good it is, compared to something like an MP40, which has a lower KD and like a 15% pick rate right now. So if you want something that's under the radar right now that no one's using but is still really good, this is going to be a really good gun to use. As always, if you guys like the content, consider dropping a like and a comment on the video to help us with the algorithm. And if you're new here and you want to see more content, drop a subscription. But let's jump into it and we'll talk about the LAPA and compare it to the Welgun as well, since I just made a Welgun video. Alright, so like I said, WZRank.com is one of my absolute favorite websites out there for Warzone. I think it's amazing, and I'd love to bring some of the features they have into True Game Data eventually, but whether or not we ever have the time or the people to do that, we'll see. But anyway, one of the features they have is you can click on the Warzone loadout meta, and this loads up a page that shows you every gun in the game, its pick rate, so how often people pick it out of a loadout, and its current KD ratio. Like I said, KD ratio is something to think about, and it's important, but it's also not like the be-all end-all. As long as it's like a top 20 gun on here, that means it's probably pretty good. But you can see the LAPA is #1 right now, but it only has a 0.08% pick rate, which is just hilarious compared to something like the Bren with a 9%. The MP40 has a 15% pick rate, but yet the LAPA has a better KD ratio. So you can see the Welgun's up here as well. Again, the Welgun's new and people are just unlocking it and learning how to use it and build it. So I do think the Welgun is still probably the best SMG, but the LAPA, Owen gun, Welgun, MP40 are all phenomenal weapons, and they're all top tier SMGs. But I just wanted to show this website because it's amazing. You go check it out. It also has a bunch of player stats for individual players. You can see how you've improved over time and things like that. All right, so I've got these two weapons built out with what I would consider their meta builds. So with the LAPA, if you're using it as an SMG, it's the orange line here on the chart. Agency suppressor, rifled barrel. Rifled barrel is unique in that it increases damage and fire rate. There's like no other attachment in the game that does that as far as I'm aware, so it just straight up makes your TTKs better. So that's a really unique thing about that barrel. But Microflex LED, unfortunately the LAPA has terrible iron sights, so you can't really use the iron sights on it. Raider stock for better sprint to fire time and really good strafe speed, and then the 50 round mag, just because that's the standard for the Cold War guns. Welgun I've built out the same as my video from 2 days ago. I'll put that link in the video description if you want to go watch that. I think it's the best SMG in the game right now. But this is 250 health chest shots. An update on the website. The programming is very close. I've been saying that for like a week, but it's literally just a few days away. I've decided that the chart that shows the change in damage and the change in TTK on the previous page when you're building the weapon is going to be a premium feature, so that won't be something that everybody can see. But if you put the damage modifying attachments on the weapon, that's going to be for everyone. So that's going to be a free feature still, and the charts will still include that. The premium feature is just going to be something that makes it a lot easier to understand how these stacking damage modifying attachments actually affect the TTK. So kind of the best of both worlds. If people really want in-depth information and quick loadouts, they can just get premium and they'll be able to see how those attachments affect that. But the charts are still going to be correct for everyone. But back to the weapons themselves, you can see on chest shots, the Welgun actually has quite a bit better TTKs. Down at 519 milliseconds versus 579. So that's like 60 milliseconds worse TTKs on the LAPA chest shots in the first damage range. Out at range, you can see that the LAPA is better, but again, most of your engagements are probably inside 15 meters with SMGs, but some of them probably are out to 20, 25 meters, so it is important to understand that you might need this every now and then. But if you look at other shot locations, so if we go like headshots, you're going to see that the LAPA actually takes over in that first damage range out to 9 meters, which is not very far, but again, a lot of your engagements are going to be up close like that, and it's not like wildly faster than the Welgun. And again, this is not including sprint to fire time. So anytime you add sprint to fire time in this, because you have gung ho on the Welgun's going to beat literally every gun in the game right now, which is why I like it so much. Just gung ho is such a good perk. The LAPA does have extremely good sprint to fire times with the Raider stock, because it has SMG sprint to fire on top of the Raider stock, reducing that by a bunch. But I just wanted to show the differences there. Neck shots, I believe the LAPA wins again. And then stomach shots, LAPA wins again. So the only place that the Welgun is going to win is purely chest shots. I can't show you the combination chart yet because that is not working yet on the development environment of the website. But it should be coming very soon, and I can show you guys that after that is finished. But overall, LAPA, extremely good. Let's jump into a game, and I'll show you how the recoil compares to this, how the mobility feels, and things like that. All right, so I just quickly want to show you guys the difference between these two guns in an actual match. I'm not really going to be looking for anyone to shoot, but first thing I'll talk about is mobility. So this is the Welgun with my meta build. Mobility feels pretty good. LAPA also has really good mobility stats. It was actually one of the fastest in, you know, Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare before the Vanguard guns. So they feel pretty much the same. I don't have the actual numbers, but I wouldn't say there's any appreciable difference between these two. Just swapping back and forth between them as I'm sprinting, I can't tell a difference. And usually when there's a substantial difference, I can definitely feel that. As far as ADS times, again, if you watched my Welgun video like 2 days ago, it wasn't based on ADS times. It's based on a combination of hipfire and being able to sprint and shoot at the same time while you're ADSing. So you come out of sprint and you start shooting right away, and you don't have to wait for the ADS because your hipfire cone's already good. So most of the shots are already going to land right in the center before you even start before you finish ADSing. So it's not made to have good ADS times, but it's still something worth comparing. The ADS is pretty slow. The ADS on the LAPA is definitely faster. Something else that's important is recoil. Obviously, recoils are always important. So if I just take some shots at something pretty far away with the LAPA and then swap over to the Welgun, definitely the LAPA has better recoil. Sprint to fire times, obviously, super important for SMGs. The LAPA has good sprint to fire because it has the Raider stock and it's an SMG. So if I sprint and fire out of this, that's how long it takes. You can tell when my gun goes up and then starts to come down, it takes, you know, it's like 150 milliseconds or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but you can tell when it starts because he puts his gun down and then it takes that long for the bullets to come out. Whereas with the Welgun, if you tack sprint and fire, it happens immediately. There's no delay, and that's because of Gung Ho. Gung Ho is massively overpowered, like I've talked about, and the Welgun has the best TTKs in the game if you compare sprint to fire time in that calculation. So just something worth considering. They're both fantastic. I just wanted to shed some light on the LAPA because it's a great gun that nobody's using right now for some reason, and it's been slept on basically since day one. I used it as a sniper support for a long time, and people just for some reason don't use it, and I don't really know why that is. It's always been very good. One last stat I forgot to talk about is the ADS movement speed. This is something that's pretty important, and the Raider stock makes the LAPA have really good ADS movement speed. You can see the Welgun's pretty good too. So this is the Welgun, but if I swap over to the LAPA, it's quite a bit faster, and you have extra firing movement speed. So as soon as you start shooting, you start moving even faster with the Raider stock equipped. So again, something to consider. There's pros and cons to both guns. I think they're both absolutely S tier, top tier weapons. I'd say try them both out, see which one you like more, or if you already have one leveled up and you don't feel like leveling the other one up, go ahead and use that one because they're both great. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about. Just wanted to show you guys how good the LAPA is and how slept on it is. That was one of my favorite things before I started True Game Data. That was one of the things I loved about Warzone, was trying to, you know, use all the data to find a weapon that was better than what other people were using, so I could feel like I was doing something unique and special. And that's kind of what the LAPA is right now. Is it, you know, only 0.08% pick rate, but one of the absolute best weapons in the game. It's just crazy. So that'll probably change after this video, but probably not hugely because my channel's not like absolutely massive, but it will go up a little bit, but it's still going to be a slept on gun. So if you want that advantage, check it out. I think you guys will like it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I would say they feel roughly the same in terms of the mobility as far as just straight up.
Oh, you fucking.
Well, there goes that take.